Everyone, so today I'm going to be testing out HubSpot. They are the 800-pound gorilla of the email marketing automation space. So we're going to be taking a look at their platform, setting up automation sequences, looking at their campaigns, their templates, their reporting, really just kind of get a bit of an overall feel for the platform and what they do well, what is not so good. Before we go and create an account though, I thought worth touching on a few things about HubSpot. So first of all, I think maybe starting with the main reason why using HubSpot is a very sound choice, and then I'll touch on one of the less good things about HubSpot. So primarily what HubSpot do very well is they are probably the best example of a marketing automation email marketing platform that by having everything in one place, the insights that you get from HubSpot are phenomenal. They've done a really good job of their marketing reporting, and in particular attribution. So being able to know what spend is working, where you're getting positive return on investment, it's such a basic question and such a sort of, you would think that all the platforms do this quite well. They don't. HubSpot do a really good job of this. And they do a good job of this because, frankly, because their CRM is actually pretty good. And so they have a lot of information on, because generally with HubSpot, you run your entire business on it. A lot of companies using it will run their blog on it, their landing pages. They'll connect a lot of their advertising accounts to it, or of course, all their email marketing, their SMS, because everything goes through HubSpot. They have that information to know what's working, where's the money coming from, and where's it going to. So that's primarily in my view, the main USP for making a case for HubSpot. The main reason against HubSpot, so where HubSpot I think is not particularly great, is it's extremely expensive. So they have this very kind of convoluted and quite complicated pricing structure where everything is kind of separated out into these different hubs. So in practice, what this means is you might start on HubSpot relatively affordably, paying 40 quid a month or $100 a month or whatever it is. I used to work with someone who started, I think, on HubSpot for about £200 a month, and within 12 months he was paying 20 grand a year. Like, it's, as you need more features, you have to upgrade. As you get more contacts, you have to upgrade. It really does get quite pricey quite quickly. However, HubSpot, put all this kind of emphasis into free and, trying to kind of, it's sort of the gateway drug of HubSpot. They have free versions of all their tools. The free versions are very, very good, and they do sort of allow you to go quite far. But my advice, if you're thinking about HubSpot, is don't think about where you are today and what you're going to pay today. Think about 12 months, 24 months, and what you're likely to need in the future, because realistically, that's a better indicator with, I wouldn't say that of all email marketing tools. A lot of email marketing tools, you can sort of, roughly stay within the budget you start with, give or take a little bit, but with HubSpot, it really does make a big difference. So with that said, let's jump into HubSpot. So I'm just signing up for accounts here, and we'll just go through the sign up process. So we've got a nice kind of easy one-click thing going on here. Let's get here we go. Pop in my code, verify my email, give it a big long password based in the EU, which is good for GDPR. Here we go. So preparing an account. So at this point, so I've used HubSpot quite a lot in the past, mostly for their CRM. But what I'm interested is to see what HubSpot kind of set me up with, because presumably HubSpot aren't going to want to kind of give me, the support desk, the marketing, the CRM all in one go. So you could, of course, watch a demo. I'm not going to, because let's just, jump straight in. So I think a good place to start is with contacts. And what I'm going to do is import a list of contacts just to see how good a job. So I'm actually in a demo here. What I want to do is I want to see how good a job does HubSpot do of importing my contacts. So we've done this with a few tools now in these videos, and there's been a few kind of issues where Things like first name, last name didn't import very well. But it looks like with HubSpot, let's see. Yeah, so again, that's not ideal. So I've got the first name, last name in one column, and it doesn't seem to be able to split them out. So not ideal. What is nice though is they've recognized the company name, which a lot of the other tools we've tested haven't. So let's just do run an import, and we should see 20 companies being imported. So let's see how we go. Yeah, that looks pretty good to me. So really nice thing about HubSpot, that it's a little thing, but they do it really well, is their enrichment. So when you add a company or a contact, they take the email address or the website URL, they go off and collect lots of information for you. And a lot of companies do this, but they don't do it particularly well. They bring back maybe the social data. HubSpot do a really, really, really good job of this. So I'll show you an example with companies, because I think this is where it's most impressive. So if you create a company and let's be rebellious, let's do Active Campaign, because why not? So Active Campaign, they pull out all this information for you, which is really, really handy, especially when you're adding a lot of contacts quite rapidly. It's really nice to sort of be able to get all this information, which can help with your lead scoring. It can help sort of with qualification. So in general, I'm really kind of happy with this. If I click onto a contact, we can see all the information about that contact. This is a lot more detailed than a lot of the other email marketing tools we reviewed. As you can see, we don't need to kind of turn the CRM on. We've got, out of the box, we've got deal information, ticket information, attachments. You really could run quite a large and advanced sales team using HubSpot CRM. I don't think that's the case with a lot of the other tools that we've included. So just while we're kind of in CRM world, let's take a look at deals. I'm just going to create a deal. Let's call it Stack Up. And we're going to say this is worth 100,000. Deal type, new business, high priority, and go. So let's just see what happens. So it creates a record very similar to a contact. What I want to try and find though is a nice view where I can sort of see, here we go. So exactly what I wanted to kind of see all my deals along a kind of Kanban chart. Hopefully I can drag, yep, we can drag, and we can see really nice down here that the value of all the deals in a section is totaled. And what I like even more is that they've got a weighted value. So based on your conversion rate from section to section, we can see how much we can realistically expect. And I believe that you can alter those conversion rates, or HubSpot would be able to kind of learn over time what those conversion rates are. So that's really nice. I just want to check, can I associate a deal to a contact? Because that will be quite nice. And it looks like, yes, I can. So we can go there. So Mika, and now if I go to Mika, hopefully I can see that he or she is associated to a deal. Yeah, so that's all working really, really smoothly, exactly as I hoped. So the last thing, just to mention kind of in contacts side of HubSpot, is you can do call tracking. So we can track all the calls that we've made, again, associating them to contacts. Looks like we have transcripts here. So if you are managing a team and you want to kind of have that consistency and standardization of what they're saying to prospects or leads, we can kind of build that in. Then where shall we go next? Let's cover off sales before we jump into marketing. So we have tasks, documents, meetings, payments, playbooks, quotes, and forecast. I think most of these, to be honest, are kind of as you would expect, but I will have a quick look at payments just so we can kind of better understand what's going on that. So that's interesting. Worth noting, payments isn't supported for your account because this tool uses data centers in the US. Okay, so we won't dive into that. Playbooks, I'm kind of curious how this works. So, okay, so essentially it's just a list of best practices that, again, if you're running a larger team, yeah, so things like interview questions or how to kind of finalize deals, etc. And then I guess as you're looking at a contact or a deal, you'd be able to pull up a playbook and then follow that. So this is, I mean, it's a simple feature, right? Like there's nothing kind of overly impressive about this, but I think what impresses me most about this is like this is a relatively advanced thing that you would only build if you were building this for a larger sales team, sales or marketing team, and you wanted that standardization. A lot of the tools that we've looked at, the CRM features have been a bit of an afterthought and not very advanced. Whereas with HubSpot, this is kind of what I mean. The sales CRM is really kind of, I'm not going to say the center, but it's a core part of HubSpot, and it's done very, very well. And this is what enables, I think, things like their automation offering and their reporting, what enables that to be so good. So with that said, let's jump into marketing. So the general ethos with HubSpot, HubSpot's kind of marketing approach is that everything needs to be pulled into one place. So you can connect to Google Ads, you can connect to LinkedIn, Facebook ads, etc., and see everything, all your ads, how they're all kind of performing in one place. Similarly, we're reviewing this from an email marketing perspective. So of course, you can send out email campaigns to your list. We're going to go ahead and create one here just so that mainly what I'm interested in is looking at the templates and seeing what kind of the quality is like. So if we create an email here, let's start with a regular one. We'll pick a template. Yeah, I don't want the door. So here we've got some templates. As I say, my first impression is they're okay. They're, I would say, better than some of the ones that we've looked at, but definitely not the best. I don't really like that there's kind of premium and free. I feel like that's sort of, like you could offer this. These aren't so good that I feel like they should be a premium offering, but hey ho, let's start with a free template. So the editor immediately feels very nice and clean, very easy to use. It's all kind of drag and drop, which is nice. That means my team are gonna, don't need to kind of, learn how to write code to be able to work with this. And initially, all kind of the content blocks feel very straightforward, which is nice. But I imagine if we go, where might we go more? If we've got custom modules. I know with HubSpot, there's quite a lot of kind of advanced things we can do, things like conditional content, show different content to different users. There's sort of a lot more that meets the eye to some extent with HubSpot, whereas in a lot of other tools, like a text block is just a text block. I know with HubSpot, we can do things like, show different content to different people based on tags, based on their revenue, all this kind of information. So able to do some pretty advanced things, but I do like that the initial view of HubSpot, very simple, very straightforward. So at the top here, what have we got? Settings, all pretty standard, schedule information, and automation. So let's take a look at the automation. And okay, so we would need to upgrade the account in order to look at the automations. We'll come back to that. Similarly, A/B testing looks like we need to upgrade in order to be able to use that, which is absolutely fine. What else do we want to cover in marketing? So as I mentioned previously, one of the quite common things that we see among HubSpot users is they often will host their landing pages with HubSpot and often their entire blog. So you can actually write your content directly inside HubSpot. I would sort of argue it's not quite as good as a typical content management system like WordPress or Webflow, but the benefit is that you get all the kind of analytics built in and the attribution that you get. So you can see kind of what's working, and you don't really need to think about all of that plumbing between, have I set up my GA4 account in a way where, if someone clicks through from an email campaign and then goes through and converts, like all that plumbing is done for you if you host your website on HubSpot. So we can see HubSpot have already kind of created this sort of page for us. I'm just going to create like a test page here. So we can create a theme, nice and easy, create a blog. And hopefully we can create a post. And okie dokie. So is this going to load now? Not yet. Distraction-free mode, publishing options, publish now. Okay, so a couple of things that you need to kind of add in order to be able to publish. Yeah, fairly straightforward, quite sort of nice and easy. This is a nice touch. So there's some sort of SEO quality assurance things, making sure that you've kind of got everything that you need in order for that to perform well in search. And then landing pages. Let's just go ahead and create a landing page. Just kind of see what the options are. And so these are quite nice. So in comparison to the email templates, which I think were sort of not bad, but not amazing, these all look pretty nice to me. Like, I think a lot of them you'd probably want a bit of maybe design input, but off the bat, this looks, yeah, pretty decent. And presumably, yeah, all kind of directly editable in line, which is nice. And what else can we do? So can we add custom HTML, custom modules? Okay, so it looks like I probably need to upgrade in order to get custom modules. But again, seems pretty straightforward. If we add a page title, let's see, it looks like that's going to let us publish now. One of the modules has incorrect information. Okie dokie. Just going to see if that has worked. No, it doesn't look like it. Okay. So it looks like there's a few things you kind of need to, as I say, we're kind of running through this because I'm sort of more focused on sort of illustrating like the back end and how this all works. But obviously, if you're actually setting this up, you'd probably pay a bit more attention to some of these different areas. So let's take a little bit of a look at forms just before we move on. This is, I guess, a surprisingly crucial part of HubSpot, because part of how HubSpot do all of this attribution and knows what's working, what's not, is through the use of forms either on your website or on your hosted HubSpot landing pages. So because you're using these forms, HubSpot's able to kind of know where the leads are coming from and sort of track information properly. So HubSpot forms, they by no means look fantastic. You can obviously kind of style them and update them yourself, but they do a few things that are quite advanced and quite nice. So one thing is, I think it's referred to as progressive profiling, where if, for example, the first time a lead comes to your website, they give their name, their email address, and a website. If they come back to your website 2 weeks later, instead of asking them the same information, like perhaps you want to kind of progressively qualify them, instead of asking the same information, HubSpot will already know that they've given you the name, email, and website, and so you could ask for maybe a bit more personalized company information. So over time, you can kind of progressively collect more and more information. I believe you can do this. Let's see. So yeah, so you can. I think again, this is a feature that you need to upgrade to in order to have smart forms. But it essentially allows each question to be based on sort of whether you know information about that user or not. All nicely kind of connected into the CRM. So we can see here when someone submits, we can assign them to a different lead stage, which is nice. And then we've got all the sort of automation features, which presumably we're not going to be able to set up. Yeah, not in too much detail. We can do some sort of basic like follow-up emails after submission, but if we want to do like the advanced automation, I think we need to upgrade the account and do that in the as an automation sequence. So before we go on to reports, I'll just kind of show you the ticket functionality. So if you want to use HubSpot as your kind of support hub, you can HubSpot will give you a custom email address. You can then forward all of your support emails to that email address. And then each email will be treated as a ticket. So we can just kind of see how this looks here. Create a ticket. And then as with kind of any other support email software, you can assign tickets to different agents and sort of have that all connected to contacts and companies. So you can kind of get a feel for like how this is all built around HubSpot CRM, whether it's companies, calls, contacts, emails going out, the forms. It's all sort of piping into this central database of contacts and sort of what they're doing on your website and all the interactions they have with your business. Okay, so I've mentioned HubSpot's reporting a couple of times, so we'll have a quick kind of dive into that. So as you kind of turn on more parts of the HubSpot like overall product, you get access to more and more kind of different options for reporting. So we don't have any kind of sales data in here at the moment, but so I won't go into that. But as you kind of get more of that data in, you'll kind of see a bit more stuff here. What you can also do, which I really like in HubSpot, is you can create dashboards. So here from the dashboard section, you can see you've got a huge variety of different kind of pre-built reporting dashboards that you can use. And the thing that's most notable about this is that these are pretty good. Most other email marketing tools that we've tested, the reporting sections and anything vaguely close to a dashboard has been quite underwhelming. Most email marketing tools try to kind of get away with the least possible. You know, things like open rates, click-through rates, unsubscriber tracking, like that stuff's important, but it's kind of a little bit tunnel vision when it comes to email marketing. What I really love about HubSpot is that all of their reporting is kind of in the context of how email marketing and marketing sort of fits into your business as a whole. So it's a lot more about how email marketing influences money and lead generation. We can see how email marketing affects other channels. So whether your email marketing is perhaps affecting social, whether it's affecting more people downloading, certain white papers or ebooks on your website, which is then increasing conversions. So that sort of attribution and that more like 360 view of your business and how email fits into it, I think is a really, really smart thing and a really powerful aspect of HubSpot that is quite hard to find elsewhere. And so a lot of these, as I say, this is not like an active account we use. So you would only kind of see a lot of data in these after using HubSpot for a while, but you can kind of get a bit of a feel of the sort of things HubSpot will tell you. And this is sort of, once you click into one of these, you're kind of essentially just getting this like lots of different pre-built reports that you can build into a dashboard, and then you can share this with your team. So really nice. I think this is probably one of the strongest things that HubSpot does. And in terms of how, like, HubSpot will often sort of say that they are very much aimed at small businesses. And while I don't disagree with that, I think generally where I've seen HubSpot work really well for companies has been companies that are able to really get a lot of value out of this sort of information tend to be the ones that really like HubSpot. So specifically, that tends to be B2B companies where their leads are worth a lot of money, agencies as well. But generally, if you're spending a lot on marketing, and the difference between knowing, if you're spending 50 grand a month on marketing, the difference between really knowing what's working in that budget versus not makes a huge difference on your business. If that's true, then HubSpot's likely to make a really big difference. Because if you don't know, your kind of campaign and channel level ROI, and you're spending a lot of money on marketing or wishing to spend a lot of money, that can be quite problematic. Generally, smaller businesses that are just starting out, or the value of leads, the value of customers is not as high. HubSpot can still add a lot of value, but if I'm being completely honest, I think there are probably other tools that are maybe going to be a bit more cost effective and work a little bit better, at least initially anyway. So we'll leave it there for reporting and head over to automation. So slightly confusingly, and this may be me somewhat misinterpreting this, but HubSpot have automation sequences and workflows. So workflows is my understanding at least is kind of where you're building out what I would generally, in most other tools you would call an automation sequence. So, when a user enters this list, send them an email, wait for 2 days, send them another email. Generally, that's kind of, I think, where you're building workflows. So if we take a look at some of the templates, so let's go to marketing, we can see lots of these kind of nice pre-built templates, and looks like we can preview them. So promote a new product or service. So when someone visits a specific page on your website, wait an hour and then send them a promotional email. So yeah, pretty nice. Very basic, but I do quite like, there's quite a few of them by the looks of things, and they do look genuinely quite good, both for inspiration and time saving. Some of the tools that we've tested, I would argue that their templates are good for inspiration and explaining how to use these, but not actually that useful when it comes to building them out. So I'm going to click on use this and just kind of see, really, I get a feel for the user interface. So this feels really nice. It feels kind of pretty intuitive. I like that I can sort of add a lot of logic onto the triggers. We can see that that's connected to the form, which is good. And presumably I can add lots of steps to this, lots of kind of ifs and conditions. One thing I would like to see is whether I can do a split test. This is something that I love in ActiveCampaign and makes a huge difference. So if we just search for split, okay, so it looks like we might need to use a third-party app to do it. Let me make sure so I'm not seeing much in web testing. Value equals branch, possibly. No, it doesn't look like it. Okay, so potentially that's kind of an upgrade thing. I wouldn't be surprised if split testing is something that you'd need to upgrade for. I can see we've got this testing thing here. That looks like more of a preview. Generally speaking, most email marketing software will let you do split testing at both an email level and kind of maybe an overall automation sequence level. But what some tools do that's really nice is, like, even within the tool, you could run tests to say, like, what about path A, where we send the users like 10 emails over 30 days versus path B, where we send them like only 4 emails over 30 days. So that kind of testing I find personally really valuable. And it doesn't seem, at least obviously, like we can do it here. Very nice touch, being able to set a goal for the workflow. Particularly if you're working on a team, that's quite helpful, just to kind of focus the workflow and make sure that we'll be able to track, how effective is this sequence at influencing those kind of metrics. And what I do quite like is there's a lot of actions here available beyond the obvious things. So, of course, kind of being able to trigger emails and send webhooks. But kind of nice having things like send Slack notification. And then, yeah, a lot of these add to an ads audience. That's quite nice for if you're doing some retargeting. And then we've got all our kind of third-party apps here. So I'm just kind of, maybe we just scroll, just kind of see what kind of things we've got in here. So I'm kind of surprised, like a lot of these are sort of not particularly well known. Like, they seem quite niche in terms of integrations. Like, there's obviously a few big ones in there, like ClickUp and Hopin, Jira, Livestorm. Yeah, it seems surprisingly long tail. But if we click on one, so let's say maybe we got GitHub. Nope. Okay. Let's do Asana. Let's see what. Oh, okay, it's going to want me to connect to Asana. Okay, let's not do that. Okay, yeah, but in general, I think that looks quite nice. It's not as advanced as some of the other tools that we've looked at. I'm going to kind of duck into sequences just to kind of see how, given that Sequences is typically the language used for what HubSpot is calling workflows. I'm kind of curious just to sort of understand that difference a little bit. So start with a pre-made sequence. So a recent conversion. A prospect has downloaded content from your website and you want to reach out. So what does that do? Okay. If I'm being completely honest, this looks very, very similar to what we just did, albeit with a different UX. Would be great to hear in the comments if anyone's used HubSpot before, what the sort of the main distinction is between a sequence and a workflow. The UI is obviously quite different, but in terms of what you can do, I'm not kind of getting an obvious sense of when you would use one versus the other. It definitely feels like the options are quite limited here in terms of what I can do. So we can have a call task, a manual email task, automated email, and a general task. And we've got some options, it looks like, for LinkedIn Sales Navigator, but we don't have all those kind of options for things like webhooks and Slack notifications. So yeah, interesting, not entirely sure. I feel like I would mostly use workflows. Yeah, unless there's something that I'm kind of missing there. Yeah, so I will probably leave this this kind of review of HubSpot here for now. Any questions, let us know in the comments. Otherwise, I hope that has been useful. Cheers.